All right, welcome back to our RBT exam practice question series that we do every single Wednesday. We're going to go through the next set of questions together and break them down. Right now, we are offering our brand new app where we are going to keep every single practice question we've done. We offer a 3-day free trial. Check it out at btexamreview.com. We think you'll really like it. As always, like, subscribe, work hard, study hard, let us know when you pass, and let's get to our questions. Question 1. A new behavior technician on their first day with a new client showed up to the house with all their materials and reinforcers. The technician then talked with the parents briefly and made introductions. Finally, the technician told the client to sit down and get to work. What did the technician do wrong? So let's think about this. We have this brand new behavior technician. It's your first day with the new client. Get to the house, have all the materials and reinforcers ready to go. That's great. We're prepared for data collection. We're prepared for session. Nothing wrong there. Technician then talked with the parents briefly and made introductions. Again, good. We are making small talk with the parent. We're starting to build rapport. But then the technician told the client to go ahead and sit down and get to work. Now, if this is your first day with the new client, the first thing you tell the client is to sit down and get to work? Probably not. What happened here? What did they do wrong? A, the technician should not be making small talk with the parents. Not true. Small talk is great to build rapport. You want to have a good relationship with the parents, with the stakeholders. B, the technician should be more prepared before session. It seems like the technician showed up ready to go, right? Had all their materials, had their reinforcers, they got to the house, everything seemed okay. C, the technician needs to build rapport with the client. Yes, before we can start putting demands, before we can start working, we have to build up that rapport. It matters. Relationships, even if you're working with kids, matters. The better your relationship, the better your service is going to be. So we can't just walk in there and start putting demands on them out the gate. We have to build rapport first. And then D, the technician did nothing wrong. Well, no, we want to first build rapport before we start putting demands on them like sit down, get to work. Everything else is great. They just need to build that rapport first. So C, the technician needs to build rapport with the client. We're using differential reinforcement to teach a replacement behavior for screaming in order to get mom or dad to respond. What behavior would be most appropriate as a replacement? All right. When we're choosing replacement behaviors, why do we do that? Well, if we're going to decrease a behavior, the fair pair rule says if you decrease something, you need to increase another behavior, okay? Because you need a behavior to replace the old one. Behavior happens for a reason. So when choosing replacement behaviors, what we're looking at is a behavior functionally equivalent, okay? And by functionally equivalent, we mean a behavior that's going to meet the same goal, right? In this case, this client is screaming to get mom or dad to respond. So most likely get attention, right? So if we want to pick a replacement behavior, we need to pick a behavior that is going to achieve that same goal, right? Of getting mom or dad to respond. So A, staying on task when given a demand. Are we talking about demands at all? Or is there anything about demands in this question? No, right? That is not the reason the behavior is occurring. B, asking for mom and dad in a speaking voice. Yes, it would achieve the same goal, right? It would get mom or dad to respond. However, we're not screaming. So it's a functional, good, socially valid replacement behavior meeting the same goal. C, requesting a break when needed. Again, we're not talking about breaks or task demands or anything like that. And then D, playing with the fidget toy when bored. What is the function here? The function appears to be getting mom and dad's attention. Fidget toy is not going to meet that same goal. What we need to do is find a replacement behavior that's going to serve the same function and meet the same goal. So what behavior would be most appropriate as a replacement would be B, asking for mom and dad in a speaking voice. Hank is stressed about the number of weeds in his garden. He tells his son Bobby to go pull all of the weeds before dinner, so Bobby clears the weeds. Now, anytime Hank sees weeds, he tells Bobby to go pull them. Hank's behavior changed due to what? All right, behavior question. Make sure we are keying in on the behavior question is asking about. Is the question asking about Bobby or Hank's behavior? Question is asking about Hank's behavior. So we want to look at Hank's behavior. We know Hank was stressed about weeds. He tells Bobby, go pull the weeds. So Bobby took the weeds away. Now, when Hank sees weeds, he tells Bobby to pull them. Why? Because last time, Bobby cleared the weeds. So, did Hank's behavior change? It did. Did it increase or decrease? Well, it increased. So if it increased, is that reinforcement or punishment? It's reinforcement. Now, Bobby cleared the weeds. So Bobby took away the weeds, making this what? Is that positive or negative? Well, that's going to be negative. Negative is removal. Reinforcement increases. So the removal of the weeds increased Hank's behavior. Hank's behavior was due to negative reinforcement. This is a good reinforcement punishment question. Make sure you broke it down like that and understand why it's negative and not positive, and understand that we're looking at Hank's behavior here, not Bobby's. It's very important in our behavior questions. Make sure you know what or whose behavior you're really looking at. Jamie is observing her client in their natural environment. She records duration data for 1 minute each time the client is engaged with the toy. She records the following data: 5 seconds, 10 seconds, 6 seconds. What is the total duration of engagement with the toy? All right, for the exam, you need to know averages, percentages, and totals. Totals are the easiest because with a total, all you're doing is taking all your data, adding it up, and getting one big number. So we know Jamie took duration data for a minute and got 5 seconds, 10 seconds, and 6 seconds. So let's add those up. And there will be calculators on the exam. There's pen and paper. I mean, you might not need them, but if you do, don't be afraid to use them, right? So 10 plus 5 is 15. 15 plus 6 is 21. So if we have a total, we just got a total, what would that total be? Well, our total engagement is going to be 21 seconds. Percentages, averages, totals, very straightforward. You have to know them, okay? Don't miss these questions on the exam. They should be easy points. Again, totals, take all your data, add them up. We get one big number, and that is our total duration. 5 plus 10 plus 6 equals 21 seconds. You meet a couple friends after work to grab drinks. You had a tough day and want to vent about work. Your friends are also technicians, but they do not work with you. What is the proper way to discuss your work? Now, this is a battle in our field, right? Because it can be difficult, and you're always seeking advice, seeking comfort, and just, you want to be assured, okay? However, we work with a sensitive population. We work with sensitive populations who are often protected by different privacy laws, and we also want to maintain their dignity, okay? So there's a right way to talk about it and a wrong way. In this case, if you want to talk with your friends and vent, what do you need to be sure you're doing in that case? A, you should not reveal any identifiable information about the client. That's number one, right? Privacy, utmost importance. We cannot just start talking about whatever we want about our client or their life. Okay, we can't reveal anything at all that would reveal their identity. B, you should avoid talking about the client in public places at the risk of revealing sensitive information. Especially if you work in a small town or a small city or a small community, you never know who's listening. You never know who's out there. Just don't do it in public, okay? Just play it safe, right? You can vent, but leave details, leave your client out of it. And then C, you should not discuss the stakeholders or their day-to-day lives. We should never gossip about stakeholders. We should never talk about them, okay? It's unprofessional. It's unethical. You don't want people talking about you. Now, we know it all happens. It always happens, okay? If it does happen, then you still have to adhere to A, do not reveal information, and B, don't talk about it in public. So what's the proper way to discuss your work? Well, all of them, right? Don't reveal identifiable information. Don't talk about them in public. And then don't gossip or discuss stakeholders or their day-to-day lives. So what is the proper way to discuss your work? Well, D, all the above. If you're working as a behavior technician and you observe what you believe to be an ethical violation that has not harmed the client, what should your first course of action be? So you've got this ethical violation that you believe you've observed as this RBT. What do you need to do? What is your first course of action here? And this is a tricky one, okay, because we all want to be ethical. We want to make sure we're doing the right thing. Key in on this, though, right? It hasn't yet harmed the client. So it can be maybe a simple thing, right? Something that maybe is a small violation, but no harm has been done. What is your first course of action? A, report the offender to the BCBA. Now, before you go to the BCBA, is there something else you could try to do first, right? Because what if the person isn't even aware of it? Okay, what if they're not aware they're committing this violation? B, report the offender to the local authorities. The ethical code is for ABA practitioners. Okay, and we have to adhere to the code. Nobody else has to. It's not their code. Okay, so you're going to the BACB. That's your authority because nobody's been harmed, right? C, attempt to resolve the ethical violation with the offender. That's step one. If nobody's been harmed, if you think you can resolve it, you should always try first. Okay, always talk to the person first. Say, hey, I noticed this. Can you explain it or what's going on? I just wanted to make you aware. If it continues, then we go to the BACB. D, wait and see if the violation occurs again. No, you don't want to wait and see because no one's been harmed yet, but you need to take immediate action. Okay. You see something, you got to say something, right? So attempt to resolve it or attempt to resolve the ethical violation with the offender. If nothing happens, then we can get to the BACB. As a technician, that can be difficult, but part of our job, right? We must remain ethical at all times. A behavior analyst conducts an initial screening with a potential new client. The family expresses that the client rarely talks about things around them, and they would like the client to learn to label things in the environment. This behavior most closely resembles a what? All right, so this is a verbal behavior. Now, technically, you might not see this on your exam. You might not need to know it, but we use these words so commonly in ABA that I think it's important that you're aware of them as RBTs. Now, manned, interverbal, tact, and echoic are the four major verbal operants that you need to know. A manned is simply a request. An interverbal is a conversation, right? Answering questions or talking. A tact is a label. And an echoic is copying what someone else has said. In this case, the family wants the client to talk about things around them. They want the client to label things in the environment. So if they want the client to label things in the environment, what do we need to teach? A, manned. Well, a manned is a request. So if they wanted the client to request for things, you would teach mands. B, interverbal. Interverbal would be if you want them to answer questions about things around them, talk about things around them. But if we're simply labeling things, then we're just going to teach them C, tags. And then echoics would be copying something that they say. They want the client to label things in the environment. That behavior most closely resembles a C, tact. Awesome. Make sure you check out btexamreview.com, check out our combo pack, and then check out our question bank. There's a free trial. We think you might really like it. As always, like, subscribe, let us know when you pass, work hard, study hard. See you soon.